Anyone from Monroeville that would like to address council? State your name for the record, sir, and that you live in Monroeville.
Sure, absolutely. I live in Monroeville. My name is David Mintz. You all know me well. I just want to make two comments. One, basically, on Sandy, right? It was just up here. I know she had a lot of questions about rights of way. I just want to kind of add on to her questions. It's just while she was talking, it came to me that regardless of the rights of way, let's say that if I understood right, she said her property was about 8 feet from the road. Okay, so let's say, regardless, let's say that the company that's doing seismic testing is within their rights of way, and everything's correct. But if her property is 8 feet from the road, we still have in our agreement of November 22nd that no seismic testing shall be done. I mean, I can read it to you. Within 50 feet, we know this, of any. Here it is. This is Section 10, testing. All vibroses or wake drop operations shall be conducted a minimum distance of 50 feet from any building, which shall mean a structure built for the support, shelter, or enclosure of persons or personal property of any kind. And then, of course, no explosive charge test shall be conducted within 300 feet of any building, water well, or underground hazardous waste storage disposal site. So even if somebody was in,
Yeah, you're correct, actually. And I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about the actual geophone placement. So you're absolutely right about the ordinance. So yes, they would have to follow that.
And that building was not in Monroeville.
But we keep
Right,
saying,
Sandy?
the
building
state,
you're
on
talking
the
about,
state
that wasn't
road,
Monroeville.
she's talking about, we're out of it. Our
One
agreement,
second, folks. One second.
our agreement doesn't apply to state road.
well, let me.
That's right.
Can I clarify that with
Yeah,
our
Mr. Mintz,
solicitor?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. So let's say it is. This is a good clarification point then. If it is a state road, and their truck is literally, let's say, 10 feet from her house, does our agreement with Geokinetics of November 22nd, does it still apply? Can they be, let's say, 8 or 10 feet from her house and do the testing if it's a state road rather than a Monroeville road?
Well, as a practical matter, how that happens is we call up the state and tell the state that they're violating our ordinance. And they tell us they're the state and they don't have to abide by it.
Is this something that's already happened, or you just figured
Oh,
that's what
it happens all the time in other areas. Mr. Yugas can
Right.
probably tell you about it.
But it
We have the
hasn't
same
happened for
problem.
this. No.
It hasn't happened yet, but you're
hasn't
saying
with this, no.
most likely in your legal opinion, if they were 10 feet from her house on a state road, the state would tell us, well, your agreement of November 22nd with Geokinetics does not apply in this
It
case.
means nothing to us because we're the state and you're a subordinate entity.
So this agreement is only for
Monroeville.
Monroeville roads.
Yes.
No, we
Oh.
think it's for all roads, but
Okay.
we would never be able to enforce that with the state.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to make. As
Right.
a practical matter, the state
So everybody
exercises their
needs to
supremacy
know.
every chance they
We
get.
would certainly try.
Yeah,
Right.
And we want to know about these
So
things.
if Sandy called and said, this is happening in front of my house 10 feet away, you would call the state, and hopefully we would do our
Right.
best to keep it from happening. But
Yeah, oh, definitely, yeah.
Right.
We would call PennDOT, who
Right.
issues the perm. I think PennDOT issues their right-of-way permits,
Okay,
correct?
so this is
All right.
important for everybody to know then, even though maybe a lot of people don't know, wherever you live or wherever you have a property, what kind of road this is ahead of time. We need to know. I mean, everybody should find
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
What kind of road you live on or your property exists on.
Sure.
So that we
Absolutely.
can kind of get ahead of this. So
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't forget, it's on the website.
Yeah, so everybody should do that. My other question was, and this is for the benefit of a Monroeville resident that had a question, on our same agreement that I keep talking about with Geokinetics, Section 7, energy level restrictions. There's letters A and B I just want to refer to. Letter A says Geokinetics shall lay out all testing source locations, vibrator source sweep frequency, and drive levels, explosive charge size, and depth or other geophysical sources, so that no structure shall be subject to PPV greater than 0.35 inches per second. And then letter B says, using industry standard equipment and techniques, the licensed engineer or geologist required to be provided by Geokinetics in Section 5 above shall monitor and record during operations all pertinent locations to ensure compliance with the maximum PPV established herein. So my question for that is, let's say that seismic testing with the vibrosis trucks is done regardless of all the other details we're talking about. It's near to someone's house, and they want to know, since it is being recorded by an engineer, and they want to know, well, what was my house subjected to? Whether they have a lake under it or some other issue, a gas line running right behind their house, or walls that are crumbling or something. How do they find out what if, you know, the engineer recorded that it was actually .45 instead of .35? How would the resident know that? How do they find that? Who do they call? Did they call Monroeville? Did they call Geokinetics? Is there somebody? How do they find that out?
I think what would happen is the best thing would be to call us, and we can call Geokinetics.
So they would call, let's say, Mr. Little or
Mr. Little or Mr. Hugas.
and they could say they were in front of my house.
Pass
I have
it
these
off on him again.
concerns. Can Mr. Hugas find out from Geokinetics what the engineer that they hired recorded the PPV at my location?
Yeah, we would have.
Yes, and yes, that has already been done. But the homeowner called Geokinetics directly, they gave him the information. So there was no issue. We didn't get involved, they talked to him directly.
But for any future people that might have
Yes.
that question, they can call you.
They can call us, or they can
Okay.
call Geokinetics.
They can call
And they
either or.
did- they
That's
did-
good. They can call either or, say.
Right.
Okay.
Very good.
That's good.
He said Geokinetics is answering.
Okay, so you can call, is there a number? Is it just, you just find Geokinetics? What's their contact?
Here's a number on the
info?
website.
It's on our website.
It's on our
Okay, just
website.
for anybody who
Website,
wants that
right.
information.
And then ultimately,
Okay.
once again, I mean, they can always start, track down
Sure.
somebody involved with Monroeville, whether it's
Right.
the manager, call the main line, call.
Because as you
me,
all
call
realize
us council
very
people.
well, and just as Sandy, who spoke before me, we're all at different levels of understanding about this. You know that I come here and speak every month, but some of the people are just finding out about this now, and they have no idea who should I call. You know, they're asking us because we've been involved, and so I'm trying to help other people, of course. And
Thank you.
So,
Can
okay.
I
Good
ask
points.
a question?
Thank you.
I'll
Yes,
ask you
sure,
since
sure.
you're standing here.
Absolutely.
I've seen word put out by a person from Sustainable Monroeville out onto the web, actually a previous council person. So I think people would buy into what they're saying. And they're telling people to remove the geophones and put them in a box and return them to the sender. What?
That's bad advice.
I mean, can you explain to me, were you at Sustainable Monroeville's meeting?
I was, but I don't. I think it was, as in my opinion, it's I can't speak for somebody else, but it's just to say, as I interpreted it.
Well, if they want to come up and talk about it, I'd be
Okay,
happy
but when
to, but I
people
didn't
were
wanna-
asking, people were asking, can I do that? And it was stated at the meeting that we can't tell them that they can do that.
Well, because I'm
You know what I
hoping
mean?
that message is not getting pushed, because that's
Yeah.
really not legal to do, and it's not really fair to people that don't know what's going on,
Right.
and they're going to trust in someone like yourself, who has a lot of information. And since you put out the idea that there are different levels of people that know what is going
Sure,
on,
sure,
you're
absolutely.
going to expect someone that is very big and sustainable, Monroeville, and also had been previously sitting up here on the council to give you correct information.
Right.
And when they're not, and people are following that could put them in a bad situation.
Yeah, I'm
And
actually
that's
not
concerning to me.
I'm not actually aware of what you said was in writing, or it was.
It
on
was,
the-
it was out on the web.
But it wasn't from an official Sustainable
Was
Monroeville
it-
link, was it? It wasn't Sustainable Monroeville.
No,
did
it
not
wasn't
put
a
that out.
Sustainable Monroeville link, but
Oh,
this
okay.
person is,
Okay.
puts themselves out as a Sustainable Monroeville individual, and so people would believe that that they could do that.
Okay.
And-
All I can say is at our official meeting, there was no official, like, yes, you should do that. I mean, it was kind of.
Well, I hope it was
can't-
told that
yeah.
if they're in the right
Yeah.
of way, they're not in the middle of your yard, that you should not take that upon yourself to be digging those items out of the ground. I just am trying to look out for a bigger portion of Monroeville so that people don't get themselves caught in a bad place.
Right. And I think
bad
it's,
info.
and just as an aside, and I know I'm probably over the 5 minutes, but because I was asked
you.
a
Yeah,
separate
that's okay.
question.
I'm sorry,
It's
but
okay. So I just want to make sure, and before this, I might be the last person in the public session here to speak, and so just in case nobody else speaks to it, I can't say for sure because it hasn't, I don't know that I know the Vibrosis trucks passed my house, but I don't know that they actually did anything in front of my house other than pass it. But we do still have within the agreement that, let's say somebody found a geophone in front of near the sidewalk of their house, and the testing was done. And I can read it to you, but they're supposed to inform within 30 days of any structure within 150 feet. Now, what I referred to before was that they can't do it within 50 feet on a Monroeville road. But if it's going to be done, and this is actually a good point. I'm glad this kind of brought this up in my mind. Let's say it's a state road or a Monroeville road, either way, we were saying, or a county road or whatever it is, and we understand what we already spoke about. But let's say it is a state road and they conduct the seismic testing on the road. Our ordinance says that property owner needs to be notified within 30 days if it's done within 150 feet of their house. Now, I don't know. I know that I've heard people saying that it was done near their house and they had no notification. I can't speak for other people, they'll have to come up here and speak for themselves. But, so actually two issues. One is it's possible what's going on is that it's happening within 150 feet of people's homes, which may be absolutely legal to do, but not if they didn't give the notification within 30 days. That's one issue. The other being, just out of curiosity, let's say it's a state road. Do they still have to give notice within 30 days if it's 150 feet within their property, but they did it on a state road rather than a Monroeville road? Once again, is that the same answer as before?
From our perspective, yes.
So it's not the same answer as before. So it's a state road, they do it, it's within 150 feet of somebody's
Well,
house.
but it's the same situation.
Okay, so
We're
it is-
gonna- We're going
The
to call
state may
the state.
say,
It's the
We're
same
going to call
answer.
the state, and the state's going to say,
Hey, well,
we're
that
the
doesn't
state.
apply because it was a state road. Okay, so once again, know where you live.
Right.
Right, but so to the other thing, you may be finding out from people that that's definitely Monroeville roads, definite Monroeville small residential roads. It's been done within 150 feet of their home, but they had no notice. But I'm going to have to let them speak for themselves. So just
It is.
so you know.
Thank you.
Okay.